Welcome everybody to the 2023 Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek. The car we have today with us is the Rock Creek variant, which is an off-road special variant, which means it's got a bit more cladding, it's got suspension tweaks, it's been lifted a bit more than the regular Pathfinder, and it's got very meaty, chunky off-road tires. Let's see how this big mid-size family SUV is. The end of the Pathfinder is very smart looking. You've got a very big grille with the big Nissan emblem. The grille is all gloss black and you've got some fake vents on the grille as well. You can see that the bonnet is very highly placed and you've got some very big headlights as well, which have amazing DRLs and amber lights embedded into them. You've got a lot of cladding on the bumper since this is the Rock Creek off-road variant, and you've got some sort of brushed aluminum finish on the cladding as well. It's overall a very smart looking car and very imposing as well, and it definitely turns a lot of heads on the roads. The side profile of the Pathfinder is when you realize that this is actually a very big SUV. Very big proportions, and as you can see, the cladding extends on the wheel arches, on the doors, and it stretches all the way back. What is exclusive to the Rock Creek variant are the tires and the rims. So these are sort of beadlock looking rims. These are not exactly beadlock rims per se, but they've got the look that make it look like a beadlock rim, which I think is a good job by Nissan. You've got very chunky Toyo tires, off-road all-terrain tires, which lend a lot to the chunky stance this has, and it makes sure that it looks like it can handle the rough stuff really well. You've got very cool looking roof rails as well, which are actually effective, which are actually used to store a tent on top, which is amazing, to be very honest. Again, very good job by Nissan on the way the front and the side looks. It does look very good and it stands out on the road. Of the Pathfinder Rock Creek looks very good. You've got big logos, emblems that mention Pathfinder and Rock Creek, because this is the Rock Creek edition. It's a special off-road variant, so they're trying to make it stand out on the road. I like the little mountain emblem they have beside Rock Creek to show that it is much more serious than the regular Pathfinder, especially on surfaces like these where you're actually finding a path. You've got four-wheel drive mentioned, and you've got some cladding that extends onto the bumper. You've got a thick strip of black on the tailgate, which houses the Nissan emblem. I'm not sure why Nissan has moved on from chrome badges anymore. This is sort of like a matte finish, and you've got some sleek taillights as well. You've got a mild spoiler on the roof as well, and again, it's a very clean look, straight lines, but it actually stands out quite well on the Nissan Pathfinder, and it's actually a nice place to be. You've got a lot of leather parts inside which make it feel premium, and let's be honest, this is not the top variant, so it's not meant to be the most luxurious trim of the car, yet it still holds good value. You've got good leather all around with orange stitching. You've got leather with steering with orange stitching. You've got leather here with orange stitching. You've got the seats, as you guessed it, leather with orange stitching. You have Rock Creek mentioned a few places. So you have Rock Creek mentioned on the center armrest, on the seats. You've got Pathfinder mentioned on the center armrest, and a small cubby here which has Pathfinder mentioned as well. Again, it's a very nice place to be and very cozy. The seats are very comfortable. You've got great under thigh support. You've got great lumbar support. Back support is really good, and overall the cushioning is also very nice. You've got a three-spoke steering with a flat bottom, with the cruise control buttons, the volume buttons, and you've got paddle shifters as well. You've got a unique design for the gear lever. You don't have a conventional gear lever, which I think it's actually pretty nice and very easy to use. You've got two big cup holders, a small storage here, and a very big storage here to put your phone or anything. You've got a knob for the drive modes, the off-road modes that this car has, since this is the off-road variant, so it is a must to have this. You have a 7-inch screen which has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It's not wireless though, it is wired, and you do have a Type C and a Type A port to charge your phone in the front. You've got all digital screen for your AC controls and everything, and you can control the rear AC from here as well, which is really nice. And you've got a part digital, part analog speedometer, so the dials are all analog, which look very clean and nice with the white backlit. And you've got a bit of a digital MID in between, which you can toggle through screens. You can see audio, your trip meters, fuel economy, tire pressures, all that stuff, which is nice. Again, the finishing is really good because all the leather extends to the door pads as well, and it just feels premium, even though this is the mid variant, but it feels really nice. So Nissan has done a good job of making sure that this mid variant also feels value for money. One thing lacking though is a sunroof. So you've got no sunroof nowhere in the car, all black. It kind of cuts out light in the car, but the windows are very big and the windshield is very big, so you might not feel that dark inside here. But definitely I think Nissan could have put in at least a small sunroof in this mid variant, which is the Rock Creek. I'm now in the back seat of the Pathfinder, and as you can see, space is definitely not an issue. I've got a lot of under thigh support, I've got a lot of space to tuck my feet in under the seats, and headroom is definitely not an issue. I'm 5'8" and I have way too much space around here. You also have lots of places to keep your knickknacks, which Nissan has put in way too much of, and they expect you to drink a lot of stuff, let's say water or anything, when you're sitting in the back, because there are way too many cup holders in the back. So you've got two cup holders here, you've got two cup holders here, you've got two cup holders on that door. You can keep some cups in the door pockets as well. Technically only two people are supposed to sit here with this down, but you have 6 cup holders. That's a lot of drinks you can store in this car. It's a party car if you ask me. You've got seat back pockets on both sides to keep your stuff, and you've got nice AC controls to control fan speed and temperature for the rear AC, which is nice actually. It's a nice screen with clear readouts. You've got a Type C and a Type A port as well. Again, the lack of sunroof over here lends a bit of a darkness, especially because this has the privacy glass option, so it becomes a bit too dark, and with all the black theme inside. But it can be managed, and I think it's not really a deal breaker per se, for me at least, because there's lots of light that comes in from the front, and again, space is not an issue. So for the darkness, it makes up with that by providing even more space. The third row of the Pathfinder is also very spacious, and a person like me, 5'8", can easily fit in the back. I've got good knee room, shoulder room in the third row as well, and after the third row also you've got a respectable boot space to put in some cabin luggage, which is again respectable by Nissan in the way they've packaged this big SUV. Again, can't fault the Pathfinder from inside here. Now I'm behind the wheel of the Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek. So let's get the numbers out of the way first. This has a 3.5 litre naturally aspirated V6 which produces about 290 horsepower, and it is mated to a 9-speed torque converter gearbox. Yes, that's what you heard it right. It's a 9-speed torque converter, not the traditional Nissan CVT business going on around here. It has a 4-wheel drive system with different drive modes as well. Let's see how this SUV drives. Slot the gear lever into drive and set off, and it has a lot of low end torque. To be very honest with you, you never actually have to floor it in any kind of way to get some sort of movement in city traffic or slow speeds. I'm currently on a very rough patch of road. It's very bumpy. It's like almost like a trail, if you can say this, and the car is riding really well. The all-terrains, the off-road suspension tweaks go a long way in making sure this car is supremely comfortable on roads like these, because it's supposed to be spending most of its time off the road, and it rides really, really well. Honestly, the suspension tuning shows, and it's a good job by Nissan by adding this off-road variant to make sure that people can take this car more into natural surroundings than paved roads. The engine itself is very nice. It's very torquey and it pulls very well. The gearbox always keeps you in the right gear, so there's never delay. If you want to floor it, it kicks down, it drops a gear, 2 gears very easily, and I like that. The CVT would have probably just been whining all the way at the red line, but since this is a torque converter, it sounds really good, and overall the pairing of the engine, the gearbox is a really good one. The engine itself pulls very well. The fuel economy is about, in city limits, is about 15 liters per 100, and the highway you can get up to 12.5 liters per 100, which is not the best but not the worst. So not a deal breaker for sure in any way. The steering is pretty weighty. In fact, I feel like it's a bit too heavy actually in city speeds, and I just transitioned to tarmac, and as you can see, you can hardly tell the difference. The only thing is that on this well paved surface, the all-terrain tires make a bit of a noise, but since they are all-terrain, they're supposed to do that. They can't be as quiet as road tires. But again, it rides well, it drives well. The steering is a bit overly weighted, I think, in city traffic, but on highways it weighs up sufficiently, and you have good confidence in driving this car at highway speeds throughout the whole day. In fact, I would say, because the seats are also very comfortable, so you can actually do cross-country touring in this car. The brakes are really good. The brakes themselves are really good. The brake pedal is a bit on the woody side. I feel like when you press it, you are not sure how much of the brake pedal you need to come to a complete stop, especially in emergency braking situations. But the brakes themselves are really good. So if perhaps the pedal feel would have been better, it would have been perfect. Again, I can't fault this car on its driving dynamics because it rides well. It's pretty punchy, I would say. Fuel economy is okay-ish, and the handling is also good. I mean, this is not supposed to be a corner cover, and there is body roll when you are especially turning this car at decently high speeds. I would also attribute to that the race suspension this car has for this off-road variant. But yeah, it's pretty good, and the engine sounds pretty good as well. The V6, let's be honest, Nissan V6s always sound really, really good, and this is no different. Kudos to Nissan for making this SUV drive so well. The Nissan Pathfinder Rock Creek. Well, it's a very complete package because it's very spacious. It's got enough kit because this is the mid variant. It's not the top of the line variant where you expect all the bells and whistles, but for a mid variant, it's pretty well loaded. It can handle the rough stuff. The suspension tweaks help it on rocky, bumpy surfaces like these we are on today. And again, overall, it's a great looker. At around $54,000 Canadian for this Rock Creek variant, I do think it's quite value for money considering inflation and where car prices have reached in the market today. For $54,000 Canadian, you can get such a competent 7-seater family car for your use. What else do you need? I feel like Nissan has aced it with how to make a big family SUV. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.